Good morning, Baker Social Economic Issues students. Hope everyone had a great weekend, and we are quickly approaching the end of the course. I can't believe how quickly this course moves, but after today, we really only have like 2 weeks left, so just keep plugging along. I've really enjoyed engaging with you in your forum discussions. You have some great thoughts and ideas out there, so continue that progress this week with the forum discussion, and make sure to jump into McGraw-Hill Connect and get all those assignments done early. Again, you have many attempts as possible, so try to maximize your score with that. So kind of some general economics this week. I was kind of reading about the interest rates. Obviously, that's been pretty high recently, but inflation may be starting to get under control, but I read an article that there might be at least one more rate hike in down the pipe, maybe in September, but we'll kind of see what happens with the economic data. So, well, this week you're going to focus on something that's true to my heart, education. You're going to first read about the K through 12 situation. And obviously, what we were concerned about is outcomes. Gary Becker, a Nobel Prize winning economist, I think I mentioned him before with kind of his stance on legalization of illegal goods or drugs. But he is known kind of as one of the founders of looking in detail at human capital. It's the investment that we put into our brains, if you will. I kind of like to think of our brains. I was out walking this morning. We spend a lot of money and time and energy in education, learning new ideas, so we can build a better world, better standards of living, better resources, but we have to have the knowledge to know how to do these things. And obviously, we've captured a lot of that knowledge. We could do things today that we couldn't even dream of, 20 years ago with the technologies that we have. And it's going to be interesting to see, especially with AI, just how far we're going to go and what concerns that brings about with social issues too. Is it going to continue to bring disparity and income gaps and wealth gaps and those type of things, or is it going to make things better for people? So, but we recognize, that those countries that invest a lot in human capital tend to have a lot higher gross domestic product, better standards of living. It doesn't mean that everybody gets the income and net worth distributed equally, but there's a lot of people that want to come to the United States, legally or illegally, because they see those investments in human capital and what benefits it brings, So where you have other nations such as, North Korea that do very little investment in human capital, and their people suffer quite a bit. So, but the textbook, mentions a lot about the present value analysis. They use the term net present value. Basically, you look at the initial cost versus the benefits we can receive in the future. And it can be argued even in the next chapter that the more you invest in education for an individual, the more likely the probability they're going to have higher levels of income into the future. So obviously that there's still some issues with K through 12. I remember I was spending a lot of time in different colleges. We used to call it the sins of K through 12. Now preparing a lot of students for the academic rigor of college. Each institution, higher education, or in K through 12 has its issues they're trying to deal with. A lot of it too these days too is our world is becoming more diversified. The United States is becoming more diversified. How are we helping to advance those that are low income, first generation, or students of color? Because we definitely see in the textbook differences in gaps about levels of income and educational attainment. Even myself, I have a doctorate degree. It took me a lot of work, but there's only like 1% of the population that has a doctorate degree. But I admire you all because you are working to get an undergraduate degree. And there are going to be both implicit and explicit benefits of furthering your education this way in the long run. Talk a little bit about the social benefit of education. What you're going to see is some graphs in the textbook that kind of says, hey, here's the ideal level, the real ideal level of how much we should be consuming in education. And that's where the government kind of as a referee steps in, or as an actor, try to get to that ideal level of spending. We've obviously spent a lot on K through 12 over the years. Mixed results, but it's important. And a lot of times I think even here where I live in Lee Summit, when there's a bond or something to do with the schools, almost everybody is in favor of voting for that because they know how important it is to have good quality schools. Now, when you look at higher education, it has been very interesting. Obviously, the cost of higher education for you all and for me, I just had to take a class at UCM teaching methods class through DESE. I have to do this in my job at State Tech. I have to meet so many education credits in order for me to work there. But the amount of money that the states have appropriated to higher education has not been proportional over the years. In fact, when I was doing some of my doctoral work, I was looking at the University of Central Missouri, and I went and interviewed some of the finance people there. And one mistake they made was they bet heavily on international students. And when the Trump administration came in, they got slammed. And they had all these professors they had hired for the international students. They had a lot of students from India. Was kind of a connection, but they didn't diversify. It became too dependent on it, and they lost a lot of money. But getting back to the states, when I looked at UCM, really in real terms, they had given very little change in the money over the years. So they had always just funded it the same. It's kind of like if you've been at work and you just keep getting the same budget every year, and you're not really increasing for the cost of living or anything like that. And it eats away. So for colleges and higher education, that's one of the reasons it's gotten more expensive. It's been a shift more to a tuition model. And the federal government's kind of interesting because their answer was, well, you could just take out student loans. And that was kind of the default, how we're going to pay for all this higher education. That's where you've seen a lot of political debate going on too, whether we should be forgiving student loans or whether we should not be forgiving student loans because, I had to pay my student loans, so, and who's going to pay for this in the long run? Well, it just means everybody's going to pay higher taxes. So it's kind of a shared, transfer of tax to someone else. And there's choices about, they kind of argue about, people made, well, you could have went to a community college and saved a lot of money the first 2 years. So why did you make this choice, to take out, a higher priced education when you could have got something of equivalent at a lower cost somewhere else? So there's a lot of debate. There's a lot of, how we're going to make this affordable for the masses. And a lot of what I've seen too, tying back to K through 12, is you're seeing a lot more dual enrollment, dual credit. There's been a push, and I'm starting to see kids come into college now. They already have their first freshman year done. They're trying to save all the money and they can pay like $100 for a course in high school, as opposed, maybe $1,000 at a public university, and then that can go up to $3,000 at a very pricey university for a course. In fact, I was reading the other day about some courses that now, colleges that cost up to like $95,000 a year for the very prestigious schools like the Harvards, the Yales. There's still, a certain selective amount of high academic achieving students that want to get into those schools, and it's very competitive. So, but nevertheless, the bottom line, we're trying to improve the outcomes for everyone, and you're going to kind of read out a lot of the issues and potential causes and what are some potential solutions. So as you're doing your forum discussion post, pick something you find interesting. It's kind of interesting about the one in the textbooks. The authors really try to explain that in detail, why it does cost so much for you, an economics textbook. It's not just that the schools and publishers trying to gouge you. There are a lot of high fixed costs involved. But the good news they mentioned, like in 2017, there was kind of a concerted effort, and I saw this too when I was at community colleges and other schools, to try to get to a common bond about, you have many professors, say, teaching English composition. Why not just go with one textbook and maybe make it all inclusive these days, where a lot of these textbooks are online, so that can save a lot of the publishing costs. So anyway, if you have any questions, do send me an email. But otherwise, have a great week. I look forward to your phone posts. Take care.